Now, if you or a loved one have been a victim of P. Diddy, 50 Cent's operators are standing by. Tonight, either we've been watching too much adult content or these are just horrible actors. In every sense of the word, Florida got robbed. And once again, it's about a damned election. Brothers and sisters, Dr. Umar has a solution to help the children and the parents deal with this racist situation at your school. Now, just make the check out to Jermaine Johnson. That's J-E-R. See these stories and more of what we're talking about on this week's episode of The BS. Let's go. What is good? What is good? Ladies and gentlemen, I am Seven Blackman, and this is The Blackman Show, a place where we can take a look at the news with a little bit of 7 cents. So hit that like and subscribe and grab your favorite drink of choice. Mine has rum in it. Thank you. As we dig in. Now, first off, shout out to my boy Ant Jones for hitting me up with this story and actually one other one. And now, if you'd like to do the same as well, hit my inbox or email the show at the contact below. But with that, let's go.
Stand up. Right there on the front of the car. Stay straight.
I ain't doing shit, bro. I got gun right there. I'm not doing that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm saying, what you saying? Oh, yeah, fuck. I'm not. Oh, my God.
Fuck up.
Okay. Oh, down. Oh, my fuck. Oh, my God.
Shut the
God.
You want it again?
No, man.
Shut the fuck up. You was big and bad. Shut your bitch ass up.
No, ladies and gentlemen, that was not the beginning of what some have thought to be the beginning sequence of your favorite adult-themed pastime. But this apparently real situation is real and has taken place between Pickens County and Reform, Alabama officer Dana Elmore and Micah Johnson. So this is a pretty new story, but here's what we know so far. First, we got a decorated Reform, Alabama officer Dana Elmore, and for the record, I think just in general, that is a great idea. Alabama could use some reform. So whenever you're ready. And then we have Micah Johnson, a man with a record of drug trafficking and possession, weapons possession and obstruction. Officer Elmore obviously had a keen sense of the situation as she approached the dude. The young man was on the side of the road changing his tire when accosted by the officer, who did so under the accusation of Johnson looking suspicious. The video picks up when the young man, after having lain on the pavement, he's guided to the car or within frame of somebody who is recording, at which time she utters the unrehearsed lines before tasing the man who is already handcuffed. Now, either this is a very bad skit in hopes to go viral for the town of 1,700 people, maybe the makings of some very raunchy material for the darker corners of the interwebs, or, and this is a big or, this is going to be the quickest open and shut case ever, in which case I say, congratulations, get your money. Look, I'm just glad that he's still alive to tell the tale, to be quite honest. And shout out to this random videographer for getting the key footage. Moving on. Okay, I want to tell you a story. Paint a picture, if you will. Tell me if this sounds familiar. Okay, so you have this black man with a record who was in an altercation with local white police officers. And after some back and forth, he's placed into a chokehold, tased while another Asian officer joins in, helping to subdue the man. And then he states several times, quote, "I can't breathe," end quote. Even though officers denied that this occurrence ever took place. The black man unfortunately succumbs to the chokehold. Officers argue that there was no chokehold or taser used because the officers didn't have cameras at the time. And if you can't see it, obviously it didn't happen. And officers claimed that he had drugs in his system, which had to have led to his passing. And he had an enlarged heart too, if that helps. The truth comes out. Seems there was a video from somebody nearby who recorded the incident showing one officer choking the man while the other held his taser. That black man saying he can't breathe. Myriads of protests ensue, and eventually the officers are charged with second-degree murder and manslaughter and placed on trial. Finally. Now, this may very well sound like the events that took place that May, Minnesota morning to one George Floyd. Rest well, sir. But you'd be wrong. No, for whatever reason, this story didn't make national news. And as a matter of fact, this took place 2 months earlier. Now, what I'm talking about is the unaliving of 33-year-old father, brother, and son, Manny Ellis of Tacoma, Washington. Now, I'm still a little bit befuddled at the similarities of this story with Floyd's, to be quite honest. I mean, one glaring difference, though, is the way that this is alleged to have started. So basically, it goes a little something like this. According to the reports, officers Christopher Burbank and Matthew Collins were just minding their own business, sitting in their squad car, not doing nothing, when this big, aggressive, drug-addicted man came up and began viciously attacking their vehicle, apparently because attacking heavily armed police officers is what people do, right? And that caused the officers to get out of the vehicle and serve and protect the hell out of him to the point of asphyxiation. Or, as this woman and provider of one of the recordings has stated while under oath,
they were just on him. And then I think at that point I was like yelling at Keon. And then I had got back in my car, and what I had seen they were still doing. Then I pulled in front and they were like still on top of him.
Okay, and they're telling him to put his hands behind his back.
Yes.
You never saw Mr. Ellis struggle?
Struggle? No, not. I never seen him fight back. When I seen him at the end, he seemed like out of breath. Like he said help. From what I heard. It just looked like to me, I assumed he was just, out of breath, tired, had gotten beat. And
so who's to tell what happened, right? Arriving officers Timothy Rankin and Messiah Ford joined in, with Rankin particularly assistant with holding Ellis down. Now, you had Ford and Rankin both working to hold him down, but Ford, for whatever reason, wasn't or ended up falling back while Rankin ended up falling forward, if it makes sense. You'll see what I'm talking about in a little bit. But basically, Officer Ford, who was, by the way, the only other black person on the scene, he exclaimed how he had never seen one person move 4 men like that, in reference to the way that Ellis was flailing about as these officers gaslight arrested him. Oh, I'm sorry. You don't know what a gaslight arresting is? Oh, what? And allow me to enlighten you. It is that one thing that officers do when they're beating the shit out of you while shouting, "Stop resisting! Stop resisting!" See, that's a tactic that they are trained in, by the way. So the video playback will look like the officer is just doing his job, and the haymakers that he's launching at your dome are required and righteously justified, because it's obvious the cops wouldn't be doing this if you weren't resistant in the first place. Anyway, the first 2 officers, Burbank and Collins, are being charged with second-degree murder, which differs from the first in that their actions did not contain the intent necessary to make it first-degree. First-degree manslaughter charges will be brought against the Asian officer and guy who placed his full body weight on the man's back. See, I told you, one fell back and the other fell forward. The Asian guy fell forward and put all his weight on the man's back. You know what I'm saying? So this is a weight that this man put on this man's back as Mr. Ellis was flailing about, right? Because remember, Officer Ford said that he had never seen anybody move people like this, right? But think about it. I don't know if you are being challenged to breathe, and these may potentially be the last breaths that you may ever have, ever. Wouldn't you kind of fight for those breaths also? I don't know. I'm just saying. Maybe you would. I'm just saying. Mind you, this man is hogtied at this point. I didn't mention that. He's complaining of breathing issues, has a man on his back, and then officers placed a spit hood over his head, even though the instructions say not to use when the intended party is having breathing issues. And I could have swore he said, "I can't breathe." That sounds like a breathing issue if you ask me. So eventually Ellis stops moving. Did the arresting officers check for a pulse, report that he wasn't breathing, do anything?
How about no?
County medical examiner Thomas Clark ruled his death a homicide due to hypoxia, which is basically a good old-fashioned lack of oxygen. He was choked to death. But I don't know. With all the officers on him, all the methods used to restrain Mr. Ellis, and a 200-plus pound man on his back, yeah, maybe it's obvious that the death should be due to meth in his system and a slightly enlarged heart.
Lock his ass up. Lock his ass up. You're going to jail. You're going to jail.
With setbacks from jury selection due to COVID, the officers who pled not guilty are only just now getting to the heart of the trial, which began on September 18th, and whose setbacks have kept it derailed from its initial November 2022 starting date. Now, I'll keep you posted on the outcomes, but I'll leave you with a few questions. Why do you think the passing of this man wasn't the catalyst for the summer of COVID BLM protests that we have already seen? What do you think will be the outcome for these officers? And why do you think it's so hard for a good cop to stop a bad one in the midst of doing bad shit? I mean, is the default thought that cops are always good multiplied when you have the same uniform on? Like, oh, okay, well, I always thought cops was good, and now he got we got the same one, so he got to be a good one. He got to be. He sure don't got to be a good one. I know he is. You know what I'm saying? Like, is it something like that? And if there are any officers checking this story out, I honestly would love to know your thoughts down below. My black people, what are we supposed to do for real? I mean, you meet that person that you feel you want to do forever with. You get together, you build a relationship on trust that turns to love. You build a home, you have children, and then you move out to the suburbs. Why? Because they said the schools are better. Well, you want to be a part of better, right? You want your child to have the best opportunity to thrive and rub elbows with the better people, right? Well, unfortunately, Shawnee Mission East High School sophomore Breonna Brown didn't see better while confronting a young woman on her alleged racist language.
Was you there? Who else said it? There's not just one, multiple people. All of them people that we were all here. I didn't say no. Okay, you can walk away. I think it's better for you to walk away. I didn't say it. So. Okay, why are you walking away and trying to talk to me? Why don't you come back here? Man, shut up. Oh, who said that? Me. What?
Shortly after having had their say with one another, both women peacefully left in opposite directions. However, it seemed like further words were had, from a distance mind you, and that, for whatever reason, triggered this young man, causing him to explode into an N-word filled tirade while both he and the young lady walked up on one another, at which point he pushed and struck Bree several times, resulting in her having a broken nose and 5 days of suspension. Now, not to be outdone, the young man, the one seen in the video making the first move, initially received only 3 days suspension. But since then, his suspension has been increased, and he also has received an official felony charge of aggravated battery with great bodily harm. Now, because he is a teen, the white 15-year-old sophomore's name has not been released as of yet. But his court date, however, is set for December 6th. Now, following that event at Bree's school, her parents were pissed, and rightfully so. I mean, why would their child be suspended when she was merely defending herself? I mean, well, in their eyes, I guess, or in the school district's eyes, I guess, it's because she swung back. Now, that was enough reason to keep her out, I guess. But why her longer than him? That's the part I'm still not understanding. Especially when he started it. He started it. Now, like I said, the event took place on November 15th, but there have been quite a few developments since then, including rallies and walkouts in solidarity from the other students, an outcry from parents upset at the fact that the school didn't make a public statement on the issue until after headlines were already public, sort of a quell the fire sort of a thing in the attempt to try to get ahead of this. And earlier this week, there was the first school council meeting on this issue where students and parents expressed their feeling of being unsafe within their facilities, while there were others seemingly blaming the issue on the DEI, that is, diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts that have been put forth in recent years.
Most devastating to me is the Superintendent Hubbard's solution, more DEI.
Now, I wanted to keep this light and do a few little jokes about this, but I don't know, when you think about it, it's just effed up that for a lot of us, our first racist experience is at school. At least mine was. And to be honest, I mean, the people in the hood were wild with it too. I ain't even gonna lie, but this right here, I don't know. This is just on another level. I was getting names called at me, not having to throw punches and fending for my life. Now, granted, I was 7 at the time, but still. And what is the proper age to have your child introduced to racism? I mean, I know I'm sounding like a smart ass, but I'm really thinking about this. When is the best age for your child to learn that the world is a little bit colder than they actually think it is? And if you're of the complexion of oppression, whatever your version of oppression is, I don't discriminate. When do you decide to teach it to your kids? Seriously, is it a long process? Do they tend to take it quickly? I'm really, really curious about this.
I don't feel safe enough to go back where this can't happen again, and next time it can be worse.
Because when I think about it, like when I think about Ruby Bridges, she was 6 and had people spitting and throwing things at her. I mean, don't let that black and white fool you. That was only 1960. And that was a time when your parents or your grandparents were still playing stickball or something with a chicken. Recently, Dr. Jermaine Umar Ifantunde Johnson came to Kansas City. And while I say he's got the most interesting rhetoric about his own school, he did offer while here to help create a community-led task force separately with parents and students outside of the school to help them address their social media needs and focus on solution-based initiatives to drive change within the school. However, he did say something very similar to parents back in 2017 when he was here. So no word on if that alleged Dr. Umar-led network will be working with this potential Dr. Umar-led network. But at least it sounds good. And sounding good is always better, right? But when you're looking to do the better best for your child and this is the outcome, what recourse do you have as a parent? I mean, okay, yeah, you sue the school board or the family outright and get a stupid settlement, right? Okay, sure, you get that. But now you still know the world ain't shit. You see what I'm saying? So is that the trade-off? Does money change that fact? Is getting a few dollars all that's needed for me to abuse you however I'd like? I mean, because if that's the case, name your price. But if not, and I'm hoping that it's not, then what is the real solution here? Seriously. I mean, what would you do for your kids? What should I do for mine? I'd love to know your thoughts. Now, as one who is a major Chicago Bears fan, I can tell you I'm happy that my Bears didn't lose this past week. I mean, look, we didn't win either. We didn't win either. But, okay, it was a bye week. Are you happy? Fine. Either way, I'm just happy that we didn't take a win or loss. So the fact is just that, I didn't have to worry about seeing Matt Uber lose and Luke don't gets pushing another subpar production through Hallis Hall en route to another loss and another meaningful moment at the podium where such gems like these abound.
Look, here's the thing.
Fine.
Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
Instead, I was able to turn my attentions this weekend to the college ranks to see what the kids are up to these days, and it appears that the kids are not okay. So basically, here's the gist of it, right? Now, first of all, my disclaimer is that I rarely watch NCAA sports, and I only have certain teams, these guys, that I'm always checking for. That said, here's what I think I know. Since 2014, the NCAA has been using a playoff system to determine football superiority. Prior to that, a series of tiered bowl games were used, basically, Fiesta, Tostitos, Beans and Rice Bowl, Nuggets. Now, prior to that, a series of tiered bowl games were used. Right now, you've got 3 teams that are undefeated as they head into the playoffs of this year. Those being Michigan, Washington, and Florida State. Now, when looking at the college football playoff system, the top 4 teams are the ones headed to a playoff. Generally, they have a 13-member committee, or the NCAA has a 13-member committee that ranks and selects the teams to be placed in the tournament. Remember that for later. And they play 2 semifinal games before the championship game. Okay, so where's the story? The issue is what happened to that team in the 4th spot. The AP released their college football rankings, and the undefeated team, Florida State, was in the 4th spot, leading many to believe that this would be reflected, possibly, in their selection for a playoff berth. Well, not so fast. See, Florida State's quarterback, Jordan Davis, is too injured to play the remainder of the season. So the people who do the team selecting, remember that part where I said to remember that for later? This is later. So because Jordan, who is playing pretty phenomenal football all year, is unable to complete his journey with his team, the team has to suffer, apparently. So here's what happened. Instead of taking an undefeated Florida State team for their 4th tournament spot, they've instead included a 12-1 Alabama team fresh off a win against Georgia. So a Texas team who was rolling with their backup for a while is fine because he's back, and they have 2 starter caliber backups. And Alabama, I mean, they're just Alabama, right?
The college playoff will no longer be called the college playoffs. It will be called the Alabama Invitational.
Oh.
The Alabama Invitational. And we will be the host moving forward, Skip Bayless.
So you can just pick who you want to play.
Yeah.
So I'm learning that even if they're 8-5, Alabama apparently still has a chance. But I guess it's a good thing that the NFL doesn't do anything like that, for real. Can you imagine the Patriots not being able to begin their dynasty because of a downgraded ranking due to some dude named Brady coming in for their injured hero, Drew Bledsoe? And let's not talk about the Bills when they were able to come back from a 35-3 deficit to win with a backup quarterback named Frank Reich. Or even my Bears. When they went to Super Bowl 41, almost a lifetime ago at this point, it would have been business to have downgraded our squad just because of Rex. Well, you know what? I don't know. Maybe in some instances, they're just trying to help people save face. I don't know, but maybe at the end of the day, these are just what can be assessed as the swag games. Now, oddly enough, Deion Sanders wanted to coach at his tournament-missing alma mater, Florida State, and I found this quote to be a little interesting.
If he were the coach and they had a 12-0 record, they'd be in the playoffs.
Oh, you're saying the buzz, the juice.
The buzz, the juice. It matters in college football. I didn't say it's fair. I didn't say it's right, but it's true.
I mean, Deion do got that swag, and look how he had all y'all flocking to the middle of the country to watch his squad's last victory of the year, apparently, because has he won again? Has he won since then? I don't think he's won since then, has he? I don't think so. But I'm just saying, if Deion was a coach, you don't think he could have finessed his way into a playoff appearance at 12-1? Deion Sanders? Yeah. But I'll leave it there and ask you all what you all think about the playoff picture. Was Deion right in saying that you're not going to have a college playoff without Nick Saban in Georgia? Are there other powers afoot? Are you an NCAA fan? I mean, personally, I am a Michigan fan. But I'm an even bigger Jim Harbaugh fan, and if that man can make a name for himself at a place like San Diego State, then please bring some of that to the NFL. And when I say the NFL, I only mean to Chicago. Come to the Bears. Please coach my Bears to another Super Bowl, please. I mean, look, that's all I'm hoping for real. A man still can have a dream, right? Lastly, and speaking of the NFL, if you spent your teens in the 90s or early 2000s, I'm sure you're aware of names like Tim Biakabatuka, Troy Polamalu, and this guy whose hair is almost as lustrous, TJ Houshmandzadeh. Well, it seems your boy has a bit of a stalker problem. Since 2015, the former Bengal wide receiver has been trying to keep himself and his family away from Annette Marie Houshmandzadeh. No relation. Now, it seems the alleged fan, who legally changed her name to his from Selkirk, has been trying to gain access to his personal affairs, sending personal items to his home, and even sent a letter stating that she had, quote, several bullets inscribed with the names of each member, end quote, of his family on them, since the restraining order in place since 2015 expired in 2019. That's some wild shit. TJ has yet to make a public statement about this situation, but it seems even after the game is over, he's going to have to keep his head on a swivel. Pause. Other than a restraining order, though, what legal option does the man have to keep his sanity while keeping this woman at a distance? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments down below. So we've had a few stories that we've talked about before, but we've had some updates. So here we go. Kansas City's Penn Wave Points Pop is postponed. Look, it basically, the Ferris wheel just ain't gonna open until later. It was supposed to open in November of this year, earlier before Thanksgiving, but it's December. But now they said it's not supposed to open until early to mid-December, Christmas at the latest. So they'll keep us posted. That's right. It's nothing like riding through the city's ice, salt, and snow in the dead of a Midwest winter to go to be in the test group of a climate-controlled Ferris wheel holding you up 100 feet in the air to give you a better view of traffic. And isn't that what Christmas is all about? Really? Dr. Umar came to Kansas City. So basically, the good doctor came in, broke down a lot of good things in regard to the plight of black boys in school these days, while briefly giving an update on his own school, the FDMG, the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy in Delaware, 20 minutes outside of Philadelphia. Yeah, we got all that. Okay. But basically, it's not open yet. And they missed this year's grand opening, which was to take place, I believe, in March of this year. But now he's aiming for March or September of next year, you know, when all schools start. But with the obvious success of the yet open school with the yet to be established curriculum taught by a soon to be identified faculty and staff who will be paid by insert answer funding, the good doctor is looking to duplicate these efforts here in Kansas City. Why would anyone see a problem given his track record? P. Diddy's dilemma. Now, I thought 50 Cent, when I first heard about 50 Cent making a documentary about your boy P. Diddy, I thought it was about to be, I thought he was just trolling. Because, you know, 50 is good for that. But then I looked into it. And it seems that the artist known for Take That, already taken to the cleaners by almost one-hit wonder, Cassie, after settling incredibly quickly, may be about to be tooken again.
If 50 has a problem with somebody,
he's right.
I'm starting to be like, yeah, we might need to look into it. If 50 got a problem with somebody, we might need to look into, because he don't just have random beef for nothing. It felt like that initially, because when we were coming up, there was this song, How to Rob, where 50 was just going at everybody. Yeah. And I think this was this form of like getting attention in a incredibly volatile art. Say again? 6ix9ine. Like, yeah, on some 6ix9ine. Yeah. But older Fifth is like a little bit more pointed and targeted in who he's talking about. And it's getting to the point where it's like, we might need to look into.
Now, if you or a loved one have been a victim of P. Diddy, 50 Cent's operators are standing by. Be on the lookout for Surviving Diddy, coming soon, exclusively on the Stars and Revolt networks. Ask a Black Man is coming this week. We got a new one coming for you this weekend. It kind of gives me an opportunity to talk about some of the things that I thought wouldn't otherwise fit into this format, but I felt like still needed to be discussed. So, you know, Ask a Black Man. Check me out on Friday. I'll be doing a little something live. Hopefully you all will be in attendance. It'll be great to see you all there. But with that, this has been The Black Man Show. Once again, I have been 7 Black Man, and I'll still be him tomorrow. So please be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Share this video with all your enemies and loved ones as we continue to grow this thing out. Hit us up at showtheblackman@gmail.com for the Ask a Black Man segment or for any other reason. And of course, you can always follow the show on all the socials at Show the Black Man. Thank you all for watching this far, and if you like this one, get caught up on some of our earlier episodes. I appreciate each and every one of you, so please, until next time, take care of each other. Peace.